Hello everybody and welcome to chapter number 6, Consumer Choice and Demand. And in this particular chapter, we get to go ahead and model human choice and human behavior. And you might be wondering to yourselves exactly how can we do that? How can we use economics to model how humans are going to react? Humans are very complex creatures and it's going to be a very difficult task to do so. Well, by using a few different models and a lot of assumptions, we can see exactly how humans are going to react given a set of choice of constraints. So what exactly are consumers going to maximize and what are the given constraints that we are going to be given. And from all of this, we're going to be able to build up a very big maximization problem. And in order to take a look at this big maximization problems, we're going to need to introduce some concepts like the budget line. So that's going to be our major constraint and exactly what we as consumers or humans trying to maximize. It's going to be our utility or satisfaction or happiness in just sort of general terms. And from all of this, we're going to be able to go ahead and see how you as a human being are going to react given a set of circumstances. Also in this chapter, we go ahead and take a look at a little bit of behavioral economics. It's an entire branch of economics that we can spend an entire semester on, but we'll go ahead and just get a sort of brief glimpse into the ideas of behavioral economics itself. So with all of this in mind, we want to go ahead and build up the constraints. So what is the limiting factor that you have in the world today that prevents you from having infinite happiness or infinite satisfaction? And that, of course, is going to be how much income that you have. So how much money do you have? So the budget line is essentially going to be our limiting constraint in the choices that you make today. And the budget line is a combination of two goods that can be purchased with a given income and the prices of each good. So once again, we are going to be simplifying our analysis just a little bit by focusing in on only two goods. So we are only going to be saying that within your choice sort of set, you can only purchase good A or purchase good B, and that is going to be your sort of limiting sort of constraints that you have within this particular model. So in order to build up the budget line, we need to give you a few pieces of information. I need to tell you what your income is, and I also need to tell you what the prices of each of these goods are going to be. So let's go ahead and do that with an example, just get straight into it. Suppose that I tell you that your income or your money is equal to $50. So you have $50, you're pretty happy. And there's only two goods that you can spend this $50 on. It's going to be pizza, so we have the price of pizza, which equals to $10. So $10 per pizza, or you can spend it on wall climbing. So price of wall climbing. So you like wall climbing, you're very adventurous. So wall climbing here. And 1 unit of wall climbing, say 1 hour of wall climbing is equal to $20. And we want to go ahead and build up a budget line from these pieces of information. And we can give you a very, very general form of the budget line just to go ahead so you have something that you can insert numbers into no matter what these sort of pieces of information are going to be. Or if we change the income, if we change the goods right here, you're always going to be able to use this equation right here. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the general form of the budget line. And here we just go ahead and see you need to use all of your income on good A and you need to use all of your income on good B. So here we have your income is equal to the price of good 1. You multiply that by how many units of good 1 you are going to be buying. So quantity of good 1. And then, of course, you're going to add in the price of good 2 multiplied by the quantity of good 2. So here, price of good 2 multiplied by the quantity, how much you buy of good 2. Quantity of good 2. So essentially here, this is going to give us the general form of the budget line and tells us that we have to spend all of our income on good 1 and all of our income on good 2. So both of these in combination with one another. And of course, just by having these pieces of information that we have right here, let's go ahead and insert it into this general form of the budget line. Our income is equal to $50. Put that on the left-hand side. The price of good 1, we can go ahead and say that's going to be the pizza. That's $10. And we don't necessarily know the quantity just as of yet of each of these goods that we need to buy. So here, just go ahead and put pizza or good 1. That's perfectly fine. And do the same thing for good 2. Good 2 is wall climbing. It costs $20 per hour. So here, good 2 times climbing. And with this, we've successfully inserted or substituted numbers into the general form of the budget line. And now we want to go ahead and see how the budget line is actually going to look like. How do we go ahead and derive the budget line based on these numbers right here? The easiest thing is to go ahead and see what would happen if we spent all of our income on pizza and then plot the points. What happens if we spent all of our income on the second good, the hours of wall climbing, and then plot that particular point? And once we have these 2 points, the 2 extreme points, which are going to give us the points on the axes of the Cartesian plane, we can connect the dots, and that will give us what the budget line is going to look like. So let's go ahead and do that task right here. A very simple task. So suppose that you spend all of your income on pizza. So if we use all income on pizza. So that tells us that we have $50. We're spending all $50 on pizza. What does that tell us? It tells us that our climbing, the quantity of climbing in this instance, is equal to 0. So essentially this second term right here is going to go ahead and drop out. So climbing equals to 0. So we purchase 0 hours of wall climbing. We spend all of our money on pizza. So all we're left with this equation right here is 50 equals 10 pizza. And of course, pizza right here is our unknown variable. It's the quantity of pizza. So to see what the maximum amount of pizza we can consume is, we just go ahead and divide both sides by 10. So the quantity of pizza is going to equal to 5. So the most amount of pizza that we can consume is going to equal to 5 big pizzas. And we're going to plot this point right here on our Cartesian plane. 5 pizzas, 0 hours of wall climbing. We'll see the graph very, very shortly. Next, we go ahead and take a look at the opposite case. What happens if we use all of our income on hours of wall climbing instead? We do the same exact methodology. So here, if we use all income on climbing instead. So here, I'll denote wall climbing as WC for shorthand. That tells us that quantity of pizza is going to equal to 0. So this term goes to 0. It drops out of the equation. So here, pizza equals to 0. Pizza equals to 0. So therefore, all we're left with is 50 equals 20 wall climbing. And once again, our unknown is the hours of wall climbing. We want to isolate that. What is the maximum amount of hours of wall climbing we can consume? We divide 20 on both sides. Our hours of wall climbing is equal to 2.5, so 2.5. So that tells us the maximum amount of wall climbing hours we can consume is 2.5 hours. And we're going to plot this point on the Cartesian plane. And these 2 extreme points that we have right here are going to be more than enough for us to see what our budget line is going to look like. So if we spend all of our income on good 1, if we spend all of our income on good 2, we plot those 2 points on the Cartesian plane, connect the dots, we get our budget line. So when we go ahead and plot those 2 extreme points, we get a point like point D and then like a point like point A in this instance. So point D tells us that we're consuming 5 pizzas in 0 hours of wall climbing, and point A is going to be we're consuming 2.5 hours of wall climbing and 0 pizzas. So point A, point D, and then we connect these 2 dots together with a line. And this line right here is going to be our budget line. And remember that this budget line tells us these are all combinations of these 2 goods that we can consume where we are using up all of our income. At point D, we're spending all $50 on pizza. So maximum amount of pizza we can buy is 5. At point A, we're using up all of our income on hours of wall climbing, 2.5 hours of wall climbing. And once again, that is $50. But anywhere on this line, we are once again using $50. So at point C, we're consuming 3 pizzas and 1 hour of wall climbing. That's $30 here. That's $20 here. So yes, we are using all $50. Same thing for point B. With 1 pizza, that's $10. 2 hours of wall climbing, that's $40. $50 once again. So the budget line acts pretty much like our PPF. Basically, if you remember from chapter number 2, a PPF was showing the maximum amount of both of these goods that can be produced given a set of resources. Here, the budget line is telling us the maximum amount of both of these goods we can consume at the same exact time given our income. So essentially, this is our budget line. So anywhere on this line, we are using up all of our income. And of course, we can do the same usual sort of techniques by talking about the opportunity cost and so on. But I think we've done enough talk about opportunity cost, so don't really worry about it for this particular section. But here we have set up our budget line, which is the constraint, the limiting constraint that we have within any utility maximization problem. We want to go ahead and just use the general form of the budget line equation, find our 2 most extreme points on the Cartesian plane on the axes right here, plot those 2 points, connect the dots, and this is our budget line. We are going to go ahead and shift the budget line in a few different manners, so we'll go ahead and take a look at that in our next sections. So I'll see you guys there.